Lopez, and currently I'm the supervisor of world languages in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. I oversee the Spanish, French, and Chinese languages, grades 3 to 12. Before leaving the classroom, I was a Spanish teacher for 12 years, and I had the opportunity to bring PBL to my classroom. It really transformed my teaching, and I'm excited to share with you today. I would also like to thank Lauren Scheller for collaborating with me and preparing this presentation. So today we're talking about creating authentic products, doing authentic work. So in the next 20 minutes, I will provide examples of authenticity in project-based language learning and explain what it takes for a project to be authentic. I will also share with you a useful tool developed during the PBLL Institute to help assess our projects. Authenticity is a defining characteristic of PBLL because it is especially important in the world language context. Languages live and breathe. They are a tool used to do many things. So when we are helping our learners with a new language, we can go beyond the language forms and functions to help them develop an authentic understanding of the world by having them use the language in a real way, an authentic way. When addressing the idea of authentic work or authenticity, we must focus on our world and our students in our and their world. Let's first begin by thinking about the challenges, issues, and problems that are relevant to their lives. What issues are being faced by adults in the world that matter to students? We will begin by brainstorming together using different sources of inspiration. But first, what do we mean by authentic? Let's recall the gold standard project-based rubric from the Buck Institute for Education. We know a project incorporates best PBL practices when the project has authentic context, involves real-world tasks, tools, and quality standards, makes a real impact on the world, and/or speaks to students' personal concerns, interests, or identities. Let's take a look at the criteria that makes a project authentic. Authentic projects meet a real need in the world beyond the classroom, or the products students create are used by real people. Authentic projects focus on a problem or an issue or a topic that is relevant to student lives. The more directly, the better, or on a problem or issue that is actually being faced by adults in the world students will soon enter. Authentic projects sets up a scenario or a simulation that is realistic, even if it is fictitious. Authentic projects involve tools, tasks, or processes used by adults in real settings and by professionals in the workplace. Keep these criteria in mind as we begin to view various projects. It is important to know that there are many blogs you can read on authenticity, and they are shared at that link. It's below in the left-hand column. In particular, this blog is interesting where John Larmer from the Buck Institute for Education shares his thoughts on what it takes for a project to be authentic. John Larmer describes to us a sliding scale of authenticity. Depending on where you are in your educational context, setting, and your PBL journey, it is satisfactory to do work that simulates work done in the real world. Take a look at that middle row. Somewhat authentic means students are doing work that simulates what happens in the world outside of school. In a project that is somewhat authentic, students could play the role of food critics, architects, nutritionists, or website designers who are placed in a scenario that reflects what might actually occur in the real world. Or students could create products that are the kinds of products people do use. However, when thinking about best PBL practices, we want to design projects where students will do work that is real to them, or the work has a direct impact on or use in the real world. The real world, by the way, could still be school. which is a very real place for our students. We have to honor that's real to them. In these projects, okay, so let's continue. Also remember, the process of PBL itself is authentic. Students are given a problem or task that they then need to work through, much like in the real world. In our lives, we don't always get all the information we need up front and then start living. We learn as we go. As students move through the project process, they are working collaboratively to answer a question, solve a problem, or create something. We call the final student work the culminating product of a project. When planning a PBL unit or project, you want to start with what students do or with what they create, and ask yourself, how will their product be authentic? First, you might want to think about what real people do on the job and what products they create in the workplace. Consider the professionals we interact with on a needs or daily basis. These are adults in various roles. Think of how their profession relates to authentic tasks or problems. For example, a chef is not going to prepare a brochure for his food patrons, but rather he's going to plan a menu, present a meal. A writer would write a screenplay. An architect would make plans. Healthcare worker would give medical advice. A citizen blogs to the general media or mobilizes others. A consultant gives advice on a specialized topic. At the following link, there is a list of authentic products for you to consider when designing your project. Be sure to consider the proficiency level of your students. This tool is also in the resources link we shared. So now that we understand authenticity and authentic products, how can we design more authentic projects? Let's go back to our definition for high-quality PBL and focus on the important PBL design elements that support designing authentic products. Notice that a challenging problem or question should be open-ended, understandable, and inspiring to students, challenging and aligned to the language targets you have for students. So here are some sources of inspiration for you when you're thinking about your authentic project. Think about your content standards, your community. Think about your students, current events, real-world practice or problems, online project libraries. I also wanted to share with you these pictures on thinking about authentic problems or challenges. At the 2014 Expo Convention, Annie Griffiths shared her images during her keynote speech, where water issues, education issues, gender issues, they were all highlighted through her photography. We see real-world issues. What are real-world products students can create to address these issues? I'm going to share with you two other sources. The International Book Laureate, or the IB organization, has 6 themes that we can also use as a source of inspiration. The global focus of these themes are a great starting point to help us think about our authenticity in our projects. The AP College Board themes for world languages provides us various categories to think about authentic problems, challenges, and issues. If we take a look at each of the categories, consider diversity or economic issues in your community, ethical questions in recent world events, or any other themes here present that students would easily be engaged to learn more about. Do not be afraid to survey students and get to know what they feel are interesting themes. So you can see how our content itself can lead to an authentic product, and the skills that students develop and use in the PBL process, success skills or 21st century competencies, also beef up the level of authenticity. So hopefully now you have the start of an authentic project idea. I'm going to share a tool to help you ensure that your students are doing authentic work. This product square aligns the purpose of the project to both the product and the problem, question, or challenge. It is necessary that the authentic product created by the student demonstrates their learning and answers or solves the problem, question, and challenge. In turn, the product would help us in deciding what audience would care for the product. Finally, the product square helps ground our work by having us design a project to support student interest and ensure we answer the question, why would kids really care about this project? Let's use the product square to support our design of a project. Here is an example of a technology unit. It comes from a high school level 2 classroom based on a book chapter on technology. Here is our project idea. Students host an open house to present how-tos on technology for parents in the community. Let's use the product square to support our project design of this technology example. How do we know we're on the right track? Each square is completed with the problem. Does the technology night product shared by all students with their audience answer the question, how does technology help my community? Would the audience care for the technology night? Here's an example of where a project started with an initial idea of sharing leisure activities in Hawaii and educating the Spanish-speaking world using a media presentation. It was definitely a great starting idea. However, after using the product square, let's see how the project was revised. So the question before was, what leisure activities are common in Spain and Barcelona? How can we educate Spanish speakers about leisure activities in Hawaii? So the change after using the product square supported the teacher to confirm his audience would be Spanish-speaking tourists and students who will promote tourism for the island. The teacher also discussed how specific Spanish tourists could be targeted, changing the product to be culturally relevant to the specific Spanish-speaking tourist group. Here's another example. It's from the food example. It's from the food unit. Students create a campaign to promote healthy eating and fitness within the community. As we can see, the product or products here are an app, a PSA, a website, or a weekly health plan. It could be any of those. These products align with the purpose because the project's purpose is to raise awareness about healthy living. The problem, question, or challenge aligns with the product because the products allow for students to demonstrate their learning and answer the question, how can we promote a healthy lifestyle within our community? And here is our final example for the restaurant cuisine. Students write restaurant reviews for restaurants in the local community and create a web page to share them with the community. Let's see how the product square helps us align and to make sure our project aligns well. The product here is a website with restaurant reviews. Who would care about this product? It would be the audience, the Arabic-speaking community. What's the purpose of the project? Our diverse community is not integrated. Restaurants in the community are not promoting to Arabic speakers. So the product would help with the purpose. The product will also demonstrate students using the language. How can we as restaurant goers support the Arabic community in choosing the best restaurant for them? The website would answer the problem, question, or challenge. And kids would care because they have opinions, and that's important to them, and they want to make sure that they use their learning to bring the community together. And of course, kids also love food. In closing, authenticity in projects provides students an opportunity to become empowered to affect change in their communities and the world around them. We want our students to solve real problems in the classroom so that they can become citizens who can discuss, analyze, and solve authentic problems. Remember, use your toolbox. You're not changing the methods that you use, you're resequencing them to contextualize the learning. And please add the link to that you see on the screen and just fill your toolbox with just more resources or more tools. I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share ideas with you, and please know Lauren and I can be contacted via Twitter or at our emails.